Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Aro here, and today we're going to be talking about the changes to Warzone Pacific. But before we get into that, guys, please be sure to like and subscribe, please. I really appreciate it. It really helps out. And just be sure, leave a comment if you have anything to say. But the first thing we're going to be talking about is we're going to be going over the map changes. So obviously we're going to be getting the new map Caldera, which I know a lot of us are very, very excited for. There's going to be some big changes coming to that. And on top of that, Call of Duty has also leaked a few changes happening as far as the engines going. As far as we know, we're getting the complete Vanguard engine. The whole Warzone engine is going to change over to that, which is just essentially a rebuffed version of the Modern Warfare engine, or the engine that you're used to already on Verdansk. But a lot of changes came out recently, guys, and along with these changes, I'm going to be giving some class loadouts that I think are going to be really useful, but at the same time, I'm a little bit hesitant because I think if they integrate everything currently as it is directly from Vanguard, the whole class and weapon system, I think it's going to be kind of broken the classes that you're going to be able to make. I think there's going to be a lot of weapons that are just absolutely OP, and some combinations in terms of perks, lethals, all of that are just absolutely broken. So they released this a few days ago on Call of Duty's website, and it just gives a quick overview of some of the changes coming throughout Caldera. I'll go ahead and throw it up on screen here. So this is what we're looking at. The main thing I wanted to focus on was changes coming to the Gulag and to your loadout items and field upgrades. So we'll just go ahead and start here. In terms of the Gulag I guess is going to be more of kind of the Iron Trials type of Gulag. So if you haven't played that or you haven't experienced that yet, the Gulag and Iron Trials, you're going to have a little bit of buffed HP, but in Vanguard, I don't think you're going to have buffed HP. The way that the Iron Trials comes into the Gulag is that the weapons and equipment and everything that you use in the Gulag are going to be the exact same weapons that you're going to drop with if you win the Gulag. So instead of, dropping back in with the 1911 and going and, having to engage somebody, you don't have to shoot them with a 1911 anymore. Maybe you get, a nice Vanguard weapon, maybe you can have a grenade and, a piece of equipment with you. But whatever you save in the Gulag is what you're going to drop with. So let's say you have 100 bullets in the Gulag, you shoot 25 of those, now you're only going to drop with 75 bullets in Caldera. So even if you use, an equipment, let's say you throw a stun grenade or you throw a gammon bomb, you're no longer going to have those. But if you save them, you're going to be able to have them right when you drop back in. So I think that's actually a really cool buff that they made to players, spawning back in from the Gulag. You're not just going to be able to get, insta-killed one shot without really being able to put up a fight. This definitely gives you, a lot more options when it comes to dropping back in. Next up here, I want to talk about the loadout items and field upgrades. So, big thing right here, dead silence is being nerfed. Thank God. I was just playing Warzone literally like 25 minutes before making this video, and I died twice in the same lobby to two guys just running right behind me with dead silence. And I don't know what happened, but about a month ago, the dead silence drops are currently just ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely broken. Like, I can literally run through one house and maybe find like 2 or 3 just sitting there. So dead silence is going to be nerfed. They didn't really say how in this article, but I think one thing they could definitely do is reduce its duration, or maybe reduce how much that it dampens your footprints, maybe, or dampens your footsteps. So maybe, let's say, instead of being 100% silent, maybe you're like 60% silent, so maybe they'll have a harder time at hearing you coming up. And big one here, stopping power is gone. Thank God once again, because I mean, stopping power now, it's really hard to find. You're not going to pick it up every game like you used to in like season 1 of Warzone, but stopping power literally just like takes you from being maybe a low skill player to like unkillable in a gunfight. So it's, let's say someone's better than you and you're fighting them and you have stopping power rounds, you're still gonna win probably 9 times out of 10. So thank God that's gone. And in addition here, they're going to be nerfing the stun grenades and heartbeat sensors. We've been asking for a stun grenade nerf for months now. Like, well, actually probably about a year and a half, 2 years almost. Ever since Warzone dropped, the stun grenades have been absolutely broken. If you're playing on PC, which I am, you're literally held like in place. Like, you might as well just like take your hands off your mouse and keyboard if you're gonna be be getting stunned. It's kind of ridiculous. Heartbeat sensors are getting nerfed again. They didn't really elaborate on that, but heartbeat sensors, it allows you to basically see anyone who's not ghosted. And I mean, it's, you call it the baby monitor because, everyone's got one. You're just running around seeing, pulling that thing out every 5 seconds, seeing who's there. And it really takes, a whole aspect out of the game of, being able to get the jump on somebody, or, you being able to hide in a certain position and hold certain areas just because someone's already going to know you're there with their heartbeat sensor. I've seen, a couple of videos where other YouTubers have been talking about implementing a sort of battery system, which I think that could be cool. Maybe that's something you have to pick up off the ground and find, or you can only use it like every 30 seconds or something like that, or you can only hold it out for so long in total. I think that would be really cool, but then maybe you'd see a lot of people just throwing heartbeat sensors on their loadouts and picking up new ones. But at least not everyone's going to be having a heartbeat sensor. And in addition to that, we're getting a Cali stick and Psi nerf. So there's going to be no more getting two-shot by a pair of literal sticks. I know I'm playing on Rebirth. I played that a few days ago, and I was literally just getting absolutely smacked by a pair of sticks. Like, it just seems so ridiculous. And with the Cali stick and Psi nerf, they're going to be, reducing melee damage as well from your weapon. So, someone's not going to be able to walk up to you and melee you with the butt of their gun as you're shooting them in the face and kill you. So I think that's going to really balance out the game and, forcing people to actually use their gun skill instead of relying on a, click of their thumbstick or, pressing a certain button on their mouse or keyboard just to get a kill. And of course, if you've seen any videos of the melee lunge on console, it's actually ridiculous. So I'm really glad they're nerfing that. I think a huge change that not a lot of people liked is the change to the loadout drop markers. So apparently now you're not going to be able to buy a loadout from the buy station. You're going to have to rely on waiting until the first loadout drops, and then you will be able to buy a loadout from the buy station. So everyone in the game has to wait until the initial loadout drops. What is it, at the beginning of like zone 2 or so. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. I don't think it's going to be great in my opinion. I think that's kind of an L, to be honest. I think one of the biggest things was being able to get your loadout and being able to, immediately go and find teams and go fight people instead of, maybe people are camping around just so they can get their loadout. But I guess we'll see how that pans out. I think, again, that might be something from Iron Trials as well. Another thing here is we're going to be getting some nerfs and buffs to lethal and tactical equipment. I know the lethal equipment is going to deal more damage, which I am not excited about, because I think that's just going to lead to a lot of people grenade spamming. Teams are going to have maybe like 2 gammon bombs on them. It's like, oh, you're sitting in that window, let me just throw like 6 gammon bombs in there really quick. Like, no big deal, easy kill. I think that's going to be quite annoying. I'm not sure how that's really going to pan out. They have some other things in here, but I'm not really here to talk about those. I really just want to talk about these guys for the meantime, because these are really going to influence how you build a class and what you're going to drop into Caldera with. Alright, so this part of the video, guys, I'm going to be giving the loadout changes that I would make, or kind of the classes that I would generally set up. I'm not going to be really going over any weapons. It's more going to be perks, lethals and tacticals kind of thing. So here we see on screen Call of Duty released the Caldera Packing List Starter Pack. Get your fucking pina coladas ready, your sweatpants, throw those bad boys on, because as soon as Caldera drops, we are going to be sweating and trying to, get those high kill games and figure out, what's the best class setup to go with. But the main thing I want to focus on here is this right here. This is a running ninja. This is the symbol for Ghost in Vanguard. So essentially, I think what this is telling us is that the whole system is going to be dropping from our current Warzone system, perk system, to the Vanguard multiplayer system. So if that's the case, we're going to have a lot of different classes to work with here, and Overkill and Ghost aren't in the same category anymore. They're not in the same slot. So now you're going to have a whole different, set of perks to really select from and things, you know, combine with. And that's really what I wanted this video to be about. I gave, you know, a little bit of background earlier on what those changes are going to be, but this is kind of like the icing on the cake, as you know, in terms of knowing where Vanguard and, you know, Warzone Pacific is really going. So I just wanted to give a few quick, you know, class setups that I think are going to be pretty interesting, just a few things that I think are really going to change the way we play the game. So hopping over here into our classes, main thing we're focusing on is the perks. So as you can see here, that symbol we just saw, that is the ghost symbol right here. You can see that. So I think one set of classes, or one set of perks that you could really go with would be Ghost, High Alert, and Overkill. So, you know, Ghost is obviously going to, you know, take you off of that UAV, and, you know, they're not going to be able to see you on the mini-map, you know, as you're running around, as they have that UAV pop. So that is, you know, kind of a staple of Warzone. Everyone wants to use that. It's so good, and a little bit OP in my opinion, because, you know, guys literally just are almost invisible unless you're physically looking at them. I also went with High Alert here. I think this one's really good. At least I like the idea of it. Is that, you know, if someone's off your screen and they're not in your field of view and they look at you, you kind of get like an alert, like, oh, like someone's like seeing you from behind, or that you're to your right or to your left. It's really going to give you more situational awareness when maybe you're fighting and it's like, oh, someone's about to third party you. You can kind of prevent that from happening and kind of, you know, rearrange the fight, you know, into your favor. And of course, Overkill here, I don't really need to explain this one. Carry 2 primary weapons. You know, you're going to take your AR, SMG, or your sniper, and your SMG, whatever you have. I went with Demolition Charge here. I think that's going to be good. That's just going to be kind of like your C4, you know, blowing up vehicles, you know, throwing those maybe in the window to see like, oh, someone in there, do a little bit of damage on them. This one's pretty good. Again, I think it's sort of just going to be almost the same thing as your C4. It's honestly probably just a reskinned version of the C4 that's already in Warzone. And then here, I went with the Stun Grenade, but they said they were going to be nerfing stuns, so I'm not really sure how useful this is actually going to end up being. If they're nerfing stuns, then maybe this will just be like, you know, a really quick stun to where they're not able to move so much for, you know, like 1 second instead of like a solid like 5 seconds. So I'm not sure how useful this is going to be. Maybe you could go for something like a mine, or, you know, like a gas grenade, the stem even. I know they're going to be changing the decoy grenade and how that works, so there's a lot of viable options in here. I think the only one that's going to be kind of left out is going to be the smoke grenade. I don't see anyone who's going to be really using a smoke grenade on their loadouts. I don't really think it's too useful in a fight. Going here to the next class, this one's a bit different. I went with Fortified, because if they're going to be buffing the damage off of those lethals, then having Fortified, which is essentially EOD, reducing that explosive damage, so, you know, you're not just going to be getting absolutely smacked by people throwing in gammon bombs, or, you know, setting up claymores, or, you know, whatever have you. You're going to be able to at least reduce that damage a bit and, you know, stay in the fight. Again, this is probably just a reskinned version completely of EOD. I don't know if it's the stats are going to be different, or if it even is different from the EOD that we already have in Warzone at the moment. Perk 2 slot, I went with Piercing Vision. This is essentially the Combat Scout, and so I think they just kind of like reskinned it again and threw it in here. I think this could be really good. And obviously, you know, your teammate shoots at somebody, you don't know where he's maybe fighting at, you're going to get that little ping marker on the map that shows you where they're at through the wall, or you know, gives them the little ping above them, and then that wears off after a second. I think that's going to be really cool. And again, go with Overkill here. I don't know what else you would really use for your first loadout. Maybe if you get your second loadout, you could throw something on like double time, lightweight even. I don't really see any other perk that I would be using in here other than those 3, honestly. Last class here that I thought would be interesting is going Ninja Tracker. So Ninja essentially is kind of like a built-in dead silence, I guess. You know, your footsteps are already reduced using Ninja, and I really hope this doesn't like stack or do something crazy with dead silence to where it works like the way it does now. But essentially you just move silently, and you have reduced fall damage, which I think is great. So you can jump from a higher building and hit the ground and not break your ankles like you do a lot of the times. And I guess this also reduced the effectiveness of Tracker, which is actually the second perk I have here. So I threw on Tracker. You're going to be able to see enemy footsteps and trails. This is actually they made a change to where in Caldera, if your enemy like runs into a pool of shallow water, you're not going to be able to see the Tracker in that. So that's really the only downside of Tracker. I imagine some people are going to be running Ninja, but Tracker definitely gives you, a good jump on the guy. If maybe he runs out the window and you're trying to follow him and he kind of gives you the slip, you're going to be able to follow him that, bit better and be able to try to, come up behind him and get that kill. And again, overkill. Perk 3 I think is kind of dead, honestly. I mean, double time lightweight, that's going to be something you get for your second loadout. But that's really it, guys. For the perks, major perk changes coming. I think that's going to be really important to look at. What perks are you using? Lethal wise, again, I already said the demolition charge. I think the gamma bomb is going to be cool. No one uses the frag grenade ever in any game, really. It's just not good. I think the thermite would be a good call, to go with, or even the Molotov cocktail. I think thermite, that's essentially the same as the thermite from Warzone that we have now, and then the Molly. So I think these literally are just a bunch of reskins, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Those are probably going to play the same way out as they do in Modern Warfare. But really, that's it, guys. I just want to give you those perks and lethal combinations that I think are going to be pretty good. I think these changes are going to be huge when it comes to the way that we play Warzone. I really hope you guys made it to this part of the video, and thanks for anyone who did. I think this is the most important part, but I just had to preface it with all that information that they just released. So, your perks, your lethal, and your tactical, this is all going to be really important to how you play the game now. Your weapons, obviously, that's just something you have to play around with because there's so many attachments. There's, like 5 or 6 attachments and 10 attachment slots. So that's, 60 sets of attachments that you can go through. And, the number of combinations you can go with that is just absolutely insane. But this is the end of the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of these perk combinations and what you guys are going to be dropping in with, and what you think of it. Please leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you'd like. I really appreciate you guys. Have a good one.